Hello, and thank you for reaching Better Alternatives, where spiritual people can heal their chronic anxiety by connecting to source energy to navigate life's challenges with ease and flow. By stepping into radical self-acceptance and coming into alignment with source energy. I'm so excited to bring to you this reading for the new moon in Libra. It is a new moon solar eclipse, which is particularly impactful and really exciting. Libra is a sign of harmony, peace, and relationships. And the eclipse is the opportunity to release habits and patterns that prevent our growth. It brings our shadows to the surface. It helps us uncover what's been hiding in the shadows. And with Libra being the sign of harmony, peace, and relationships, this eclipse really focuses on how we show up in our relationships and what we allow to happen in our relationships. So our first card is the archetype card of the vampire. I'm sure you've all heard the term the energy vampire. So this eclipse is making you aware if someone is draining your life force, or is it making you aware of the fact that you are the energy vampire, where you are leeching onto other people for your own survival and creating codependency. But with our ascended master Hilarion here for health and healing, and I'll read to you the message for Hilarion. This card is a sign of healing. Your divine healing power has awakened, and you feel compelled to help others to heal. Just as you've been healed, so too do you want others to enjoy health and vitality. You're supported in making changes so you can continue to heal yourself and others. Let go of any fears or restrictive thinking to fully open the miracles of healing. So this is really impactful energy to kind of start off the gate thinking about this new moon in Libra. Where can we bring to surface limiting patterns and beliefs that we have brought to relationships, looking at toxic relationships that no longer serve us, bringing awareness to this, and by bringing our shadow to the light, we can heal that shadow self and transmute these toxic patterns and beliefs and relationships and learn and heal and grow so that we may thrive in life. But it is only through doing the shadow work and bringing it to awareness that we can allow ourselves to heal. This is very impactful. That which we ignore controls us. So if we continue to willfully ignore what's going on in our lives, it's always going to be running on in the background. But if we can actually bring awareness to it, we eliminate its control over us, right? We create awareness, and then we step into radical self-acceptance, understanding that the things that have brought us to this point may not necessarily have been our fault, but how we choose to react to what has brought us to this point is our responsibility. Taking full accountability to the fact that we have got ourselves to where we are allows us to heal and to surrender. Right? This is my AAA healing method: awareness, acceptance, and acquiescence. And this new moon portal in Libra is a really great time to bring this awareness to how we are showing up in our relationships and how our relationships are showing up for us. And so when the moon is new, meaning in conjunction with the sun in Libra, this is about creating new intentions in our relationships, creating new energy in our relationships, creating new patterns and beliefs, right? But there's this eclipse energy that's happening where we are forced to kind of face the shadow aspect of self so that we can actually grow our relationships in a more meaningful way. The full moon lunar eclipse that just happened 2 weeks ago was all about ending karmic cycles so that we could step fully into our dharma. And now with this new moon in Libra, after we've cleared these cycles and created new cycles, we now have to look at the relationships in our life, how we are showing up for other people, how other people are showing up for us, taking accountability for everything that we've done that has gotten us to this point, taking accountability for the people that we've allowed to take advantage of our boundaries. At certain points, we can't take responsibility for other people's actions, but we can take responsibility for how we allow other people to treat us. And this is very important to note. A boundary is not telling someone else how they can or cannot act. A boundary is telling someone how you'll respond to their actions. This is taking full accountability. This is stepping into radical self-acceptance and being able to hold those boundaries in place. And once we do that work, we can release these outdated modes of being. We can release toxic relationships, or we can transmute these toxic relationships to ones of supportive growth. There have definitely been people in my own life who have been toxic, or I have been toxic towards, but this new moon is also conjunct Mercury. And so if we can clearly communicate our needs, our boundaries, our desires, we can now transmute these energies to a more healing place. What's also interesting to know is that because it's the eclipse season, we have the South Node being highlighted here. And the South Node is about our karma, right? This last, again, full moon in Pisces was ending these karmic cycles. And now with this new moon coming into conjunction through the eclipse of the South Node, we really get to bring awareness to the outdated cycles that have brought us to this point, the energies where we are stuck in our life. And from that place of recognizing where we are stuck, we get to purge these old habits. And we get to instead learn to embody the energy of the North Node, which is currently in Aries. And from this place of embodying the North Node and Aries energy, we get to hold firm our boundaries for ourselves so that we give other people to do the same for themselves, and then being able to honor that other person's boundaries and not trying to guilt, blame, or shame them for maintaining their own boundaries, so that we are not that toxic vampire, right? We have to be, this whole cycle is about bringing awareness to our own toxic traits, in addition to eliminating toxic behaviors or holding boundaries in place to keep toxic people out of our influence, unless they are willing to communicate and heal and transmute themselves to change this relationship, right? We have to confront the opposition between the North and the South, and then we have to confront what's no longer working. Because if we are unable to do the shadow work, we get stuck. We keep in place these old habits, patterns, and beliefs that keep us from moving forward. By confronting the shadow aspect of self, bringing it to light, and healing those energies, we can actually show up in a more meaningful way for the people in our lives. And we can expect them to show up for us in a more meaningful way. What's also interesting to note is that Chiron is the planet of healing. It's actually an asteroid body. It's also in Aries. It's not necessarily conjunct, or it's not aspecting any other planet at this point in time in a very important way. But I think it's worth noting that Chiron is also in Aries. It's about 15 degrees separate from the nodes at this point in time. But Chiron in Aries is about reflecting on how our wounds are showing up in our identity, how we are identifying with our wounds. And if we can disengage from the identity that our wounding has created, right? Purging the limiting beliefs that have brought us to this point, we get to move forward in a much more positive way with more meaningful relationships. What's also interesting to note here is that this new moon is square Mars in Cancer. Now, Mars in Cancer doesn't really like, Mars doesn't like to be in Cancer. Mars is about taking action, and Cancer is about being at home. So this can kind of make Mars energy a little complacent. It can be a little harder to kind of make movements happening. But with the square creating tension between the new moon, with the conjunction of Mercury happening here, Mars is kind of highlighting and bringing to our awareness the conditioning that has gotten us to this point, right? Again, we have the South Node activation. South Node represents what we're born into with this life, whether it's your past life energy or if it's the inherited energy that comes from your family line. And so looking at the energy that we've been conditioned to in this lifetime through our familial relationships, understanding again that trauma is not our fault, but healing is our responsibility. And if we can understand the relationships and the energy of the relationships that have brought us to this point in time, understand how it's informed our thoughts, patterns, and beliefs, bring awareness to this, learn the lesson from this so we can heal, then we can grow, and we can thrive. Right? This is very impactful energy. But there can, a lot of anxiety can come up around this, right? When we try to shift out of one identity into another, we can feel really anxious. Are we leaving people behind? Are we being true to ourselves? Everything that we've known up to this point, we start to question, and it can lead us to a dark night of the soul or a healing crisis. So it's very important to be very gentle with ourselves, right? Being aware that the people in our lives have brought us to this point in time. They have affected us for better or for worse, right? But by being aware of how we look at what's happening around us and shifting our perception, really, again, that which we ignore controls us. Bring awareness to what we've been willfully ignorant about. Bring that to the forefront with intention and purpose so that we can really heal these deep woundings in a very important way, right? And allow these shifts to happen with grace. And from that place, we get to show up as a different person in our relationships, and we get to attract the people who meet us at this new level. We kind of set the stage for the people in our lives currently to elevate with us, or they see themselves to the door, as I like to call it. But fear not, because even though Mars is square the sun, it's in a grand trine with Pisces, with Saturn in Pisces, and Venus in Scorpio. Now, Venus doesn't necessarily like to be in Scorpio. Scorpio is deep, transformative energy. It's very investigative. Or Venus kind of just wants to be in the good vibes. It doesn't want to dig too deep. Where Saturn in Pisces is about recognizing the spiritual structures in our lives and how they've brought it, and kind of figuring out how to let go of energy, toxic energy around spirituality, right? And how to kind of reconnect and reaffirm our connection to spirituality. So we have this grand water trine, which really focuses on our emotions and relationships in our life. So Venus, Saturn, and Mars have this beautiful energy around the relationships in our life. Venus and Mars are the astrological lovers. So when they are trying each other, we can take supportive action in our relationships to make things happen. And with the stabilizing energy of Saturn in this, completing this grand water trine in Pisces, we build a stable structure for relationships in our lives. So even though Mars is square the new moon, creating that tension, it's being supported in this trine. So whatever tension comes to the surface, we have this ability to transmute and heal it in a really meaningful and impactful way. But this takes reflection. It takes time. Again, we need to move thoughtfully, and we need to give ourselves the space and grace to get this work done, right? There's a lot of potent energy around this new moon, helping us to amplify all this spiritual work that needs to be done. But that does not mean that it needs to be done at once. This is just the beginning. We get to bring this awareness to the surface, bring those shadows out of hiding, and look at them. And moving forward, one step at a time, being mindful to really take some time for meditation and contemplation. That is where we allow our nervous system to catch up with the realizations that we've created. The mind moves faster than the body. And if we don't take time to soothe our nervous system, it can create what's called a healing crisis, where it'll send our body into overdrive. And this is where people can become irritable and exhausted and feel out of flow or create sickness, because they're trying to force a change faster than it's meant to happen. So making sure you take the time to soothe the physical self so it can catch up with the energy of the mind and the spirit to really create more impactful healing. And so I have here a few other oracle decks. So we have a lot going on right now. And then thinking about this full moon, the full moon was all about releasing old cycles of karma so that we can create new cycles for ourselves. So let's see, what is it that we have released since this full moon that can clear the path to stepping into this new relationship to self and setting better boundaries with other people? Shadow work. I love that. Congratulations, you've been doing the work. You're being supported in doing this work. And now that we've done all this shadow work, we get to create these new intentions. So I'm using the Healing Waters Oracle. Oh wait, actually, my apologies. It's funny because I was recording this previously and my daughter interrupted the recording, and then I realized the microphone had died and there was no sound. And it was in the middle of me talking about Mars in Cancer, bringing up old familial patterns. And I had this moment of realization that I could choose to be angry with my daughter, or I could recognize that she was happy to see me and that really her interruption was a blessing, right? This is a great example of the work in action. And so now that we've done this shadow work and we get to bring these wounds, these familial wounds to the surface that have informed and impacted our relationships, and we start to meditate with this energy, what do we get to create? And I have here the Tree of Life Oracle to help help guide us. What is it that we get to create? One more shuffle here. Understanding. I love this. I love this. This is Binah, the divine feminine. In the tree of life, the Kabbalah, Saturn is actually considered the divine feminine, although in astrology, Saturn's considered the father energy. And so let me read to you what Binah means. Understanding, silence, awareness, the divine feminine. And what's interesting is Binah is in Pisces right now, right? So looking at where Saturn is in your chart, where it's positioned in Pisces in your chart, what house this is in, can really highlight where you are called to create some understanding in your life through this silence, right? The Four of Swords is meditation and contemplation. Binah is located at the top of the pillar of severity, a place that offers her a view of the whole tree. Right here, you can see this is the pillar of severity. I love this oracle deck. She sits not in judgment, but in understanding, seeing all. Saturn is her planet, a planet of form, control, time, and karma. Her role is to bring the world of energy into form, to give structure to chaos, and to be the support for those seeking divine feminine wisdom. We all need a bit of quiet time, the space to breathe, and to bring structure to events that may have been chaotic. You are invited to hold yourself in silence now and to do it within the energetic field of one of the universe's most potent forces, the divine feminine. That's really beautiful energy, right? And the support from the water trine will allow you to sit in the energy of the divine feminine. The energy of the divine feminine is about allowing yourself to receive the gifts, right? When we compare the anatomy of masculine to feminine, the masculine energy is about taking action, where the feminine is about the reception, right? So allowing ourselves to receive the support that we need to create this understanding for ourselves so we can heal our relationships. And so now we'll use the water oracle to help us. How can we water these seeds from the tree of life and allow these intentions to grow? We've done the shadow work. We are allowing ourselves to move forward so that we are releasing that which no longer serves us so we can move forward and create more meaningful relationships. Honoring. This is really interesting. We have the two of cups, the Three of Cups, and the Four of Cups energy on the table right now. And this is all energy, Cancerian energy, right? So this energy of Mars, there's 3 cups out here. So this trine, again, is really supportive energy. Mars is in Cancer. We have Binah, Saturn showing up, which is in Pisces, right? Really looking at the structures in our life, how we can take action to build greater structures in our life so that we can allow the wheel of fate to move us forward, right? Let's turn this upright. If we don't do that shadow work, we get stuck. But if we do the shadow work, we can make amazing things happen. And we can create magic with the people in our lives. And so the energy from the water oracle is immerse yourself, training, excuse me, new hobbies and lessons. And I'll read from the book for this as well. What interests you or makes you come alive? Follow your desire to study and learn. Dive into what fascinates you. Immerse yourself in the topic that captivates you most. Maybe there's something you're passionate about that you're called to deepen your knowledge through study or learning, or something you want to experience more fully. You're being encouraged to increase your wisdom and to experience life in a deeper way. Follow your passions, that Mars energy, and embark on some kind of higher and deeper learning. And actually, we have the Eight of Cups on the table as well, which is this Piscean energy, right? Moving forward, releasing that which no longer serves you. Allow yourself to pursue your passions in a more meaningful way. Immerse yourself, moving forward. It's really beautiful energy. And from that place of immersing yourself, you could probably meet some new people who will meet you on this new level that you've created for yourself, that's allowing you to shift your identities and create more impact and meaning in the world and for those who are closest to you. And so our final message from the Healing Spirits Oracle: courage arrives when you step over fear. I love this card. I'll read from the book. There is a fine line between cowardice and courage, and one step backwards or forwards can make a huge difference. The ascended masters in the higher spirit realms were courageous in their earthly lives, and they stood up for what they believed, no matter the consequences. When you truly believe in a cause, it's right to fight. It's right to fight for it. And the real fight can never be lost or won. It can only be experienced. To fight for what is right is its own victory. You know inside this that this is not a struggle, but another lesson, one that will allow you to experience another aspect of your nature. So walk tall and move forward. So what is it that you need courage to allow yourself to immerse yourself in? It seems as though there could be this feeling of hesitancy around taking the steps necessary and moving forward, right? It's time to surrender and immerse yourself, and courage arrives when you step over fear, giving you the momentum you need to make the changes in your life so that you can heal. And allow people to show up for you and you to show up for them. So that instead of being the vampire, you get to stop the vampire in its tracks. But remember, take your time and allow it to happen at the pace that supports your nervous system. Don't do too much too fast. Just a little at a time is all it takes to create the greatest changes in your life. So I hope this resonates. It is my intention that this message reaches far and wide in support of the healing that is needed in this world so desperately at this point in time, so we can foster deeper, more powerful relationships and connections. Through those connections, we can create healing in the world. I hope to see you for my next reading. Please be sure to like this video if it resonated. Let me know in the comments what you thought about it. And subscribe to my channel so that you can stay tuned for the next video. Namaste, friends.